Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcela Miranda Caballero, and I have the honor of serving as Ammar Campa-Najjar's former campaign manager when he initially ran for Congress. And I'm proud to be back on his team as his advisor, helping him take on this critical fight once again. And let me just say, it's so exciting to be here tonight, gathered virtually and seeing all of you from across California and across the country here. It is inspiring. You are proof that this campaign is not just Ammar's fight, it's our fight. We are here today because the fight for Proposition 50 is more than just about redistricting. It's about standing up to our democracy. It's about showing that we will not sit on the sidelines while extremism and dysfunction tear the fabric of our communities. Prop 50, flipping seats like this one, California's 48th district, this is how we stand up to what's going on. This is how we push back. One of the 5 seats we must flip to win back the House is right here in our backyard. Darrell Issa's seat. Now, let's not forget who Issa is. Issa was the very first member of Congress to endorse Donald Trump. For too long, he's put partisanship and extremism ahead of people he's supposed to serve. This district deserves better. That's why we're here supporting Ammar Campa-Najjar. That's why he's stepping up again. Ammar is not only a U.S. Navy officer, he's a professor at Georgetown, and he's someone who understands the district because he grew up here, because he has roots here. He came within striking distance before, and now with Prop 50, redrawing the lines, we finally have a chance to flip this seat. And I'll tell you from personal experience, when I managed Ammar's first campaign, I saw firsthand his work ethic, his humility, and his ability to connect with people from every walk of life. He has the grit, and he understands the attacks, the vision to lead, and the heart to serve his community. With your help, he will finish what he started. We will win together. But let's be clear, this won't be easy. Darrell Issa may be out of touch, but he is well-funded and entrenched. He is counting on people to tune out or to give up. But what tonight proves is that we are not giving up. We are leaning in. And with this grassroots momentum and movement, we will continue and we can defeat him. Now, tonight is not only about talking about change, it's about building the resources to make this change possible. Heading into this event, we've already raised about $3,000, and here's the exciting news. One of our supporters has pledged to match every dollar that is raised tonight. That means your contributions are doubled. Every 100 becomes 200, every 500 becomes 1,000. This kind of momentum is what we need today to flip this district, and what we need to really retire Darrell Issa once and for all. So I encourage you, stay with us through the program. There's a QR code on the screen where you can donate. You can also visit our website. We'll have time for a Q&A at the end of this program, and we want to hear from you. So I encourage you to also ask questions on the comment sections. This isn't just about watching, it's about joining a movement that will shape the future of our country, of our city, and our state. And now it is my honor to introduce our first speaker, Congressman Eric Swalwell, the U.S. Representative for California's 14th Congressional District. He knows what it takes to win tough races, to take on extremism, and to deliver the results for American people. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Thanks so much, Marcella. And I see my pal Ammar on this Zoom as well. Ammar, we're so proud of you. I'm so excited that you're in this. Marcella, what a beautiful introduction and table setting of what the stakes are and why we need Ammar. Also, I know my buddy Kevin Mullin from the California delegation is going to be on shortly. But look, we need Ammar. And it's not just because Darrell Issa is a vote that has taken away the health care of millions of Californians. It's not only because Darrell Issa supports policies that have deported our friends and neighbors while we were promised that violent individuals would be the ones who would be deported. It's actually been the opposite. Overwhelmingly, friends and neighbors contributing to our economy and our culture and our community are the ones who are being deported. Darrell Issa has voted against a woman's right to make decisions about her own body and her own health care. Darrell Issa has not made your kids safer in our schools, where He has chosen killers over our kids with every single vote that makes the most dangerous people have access to the most dangerous weapons. Darrell Issa has continued to support a system that allows dirty money and dirty maps to pollute our politics. But this is not just about voting against Darrell Issa. It's about having a better choice, a better representative for you in California. And that's Ammar. And I've known Ammar for going on, geez, Ammar, I think it's 8 years now. And he's called to service. And he is one of the toughest but kindest persons I know. He's a happy warrior. He knocks on doors, he makes phone calls, he serves the community with a smile, but he also knows how to punch back because he has seen some of the ugliest campaigns against him. And one of those campaigns was run against him by Darrell Issa. And even after, not achieving victory when he sought to go to Congress, Ammar could have just walked away from public service. And if you believed his critics and his opponents, that's exactly what he would have done. But no, he signed up to serve our military and does so as a Navy officer. I love all the branches of the military, but Ammar knows I've got a special place in my heart for the Navy, and one of my three children will be going to the Naval Academy, whether they want to or not, and whether they know it or not. And so I'm just really proud of Ammar and his service, and I've been proud to just watch how he has continued to find new ways to serve his neighbors in the state of California. Now, all of that said, Ammar has a 0% shot if we do not pass Prop 50 on November 4. And he gets that. And so that's first and foremost for us is to make sure that voters understand that we are doing this, not because we don't believe in independent redistricting. In fact, we do, but we are done fighting these battles with one hand tied behind our back. And too often for Democrats, it's the upper hand. And so we are going in with both hands and all the grit in the world to take on what Texas and other states are doing. And so winning Prop 50 and then having those 5 seats is what gives us a shot, for Ammar to be our candidate. And so that's why we are doing this so early, because we are preparing in parallel to pass Prop 50, and Ammar is out there supporting the phone banks and the door knocks and the voter education efforts. But when we pass it, he needs to be ready to go. It's not as if we can just fire up this jet and send it, into orbit. We need him to be ready in parallel, and that's why we're doing this tonight. That's why we're doing it on the eve of the fundraising quarter. And I believe so much in Ammar that I've stepped away from my own fundraising tonight and some of the other candidates who I'm helping because I know that he is additive for the district, for the state, and for the Congress. So I'm grateful to all of you for what you're doing. And I just want to say that as I think about what will a new majority look like with Ammar in it, to me, in the first 2 years, it's this. It's accountability. It is redemption. It's bringing oversight that is not there right now. It's making sure that anyone who has struck these dirty deals with the president, whether it's law firms or college campuses or healthcare companies or entertainment companies, that there's going to be oversight again, that we have the power of the purse, that we can put back in place subsidies that give healthcare to people who need it the most, that we can kill cancer rather than killing cancer research. There's so much that we can do in a new majority. But I also want it to be clear that having this new majority gives us the best shot at having free and fair elections in 2028, because losing the midterms will only inspire Donald Trump and House Republicans who have looked the other way for the past year to believe they can further vanquish all of the democratic protections that we have in the access points of the ballot box that are given. And so this seat is so important. Winning the majority is so important. And then, Ammar, I want you to know, and I want my colleague and my neighbor Kevin Mullin to know, when we are trusted to lead again, when we have the White House, the House, and the Senate in 2029, and we have every intention of doing that, we have to flex on behalf of the American people. And just imagine if we flexed with the confidence and the purpose on popular positions that Republicans flex with confidence and purpose on unpopular positions. We would make sure everyone in America has health care that's affordable and a doctor that's accessible. We'd make sure that our kids are protected in their classroom. We would make sure that we green our earth and our economy. We'd make sure that we pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We would bring accountability to the Supreme Court. There's so much we can do if we don't compromise and negotiate against ourselves, but rather flex on behalf of the American people. That's what Ammar being in Congress means. That's why I'm so excited for his candidacy. And that's why I hope you will join Marcella's call to make a contribution and also to have it matched so that we can get Ammar to Congress. So thanks, Ammar, for again stepping up. If all you did was serve our country in the military, as they say in Hamilton, that would be enough. But you have done so much more, and we are all so grateful. So we're rooting for you, pal, and I look forward to seeing you out there on the trail.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Just real quick before we have Congressman Mullin come on, thank you so much for once again stepping up and stepping in for me. This is a where were you moment in the life of our country. People are going to look back, our kids will look back and they'll say, where were you when people were fighting for their lives and their livelihoods and their health care and their safety and their constitutional rights? And we will be able to say that we squared our shoulders to this moment. We met this moment and we bent the arc once again. So thank you so much for your kind words. You've had my back for the better part of a decade as we've chipped away at this district. We're both looking, you're looking younger, I'm looking older. I'm not sure what it is you're doing, but I'm gonna have to follow your regimen. And for those of you tuning in, please go to our website, Ammar, AMMAR 4 FOR Congress.com. Pitch in, every donation you'll make will be matched. And now we have another great speaker, Marcella, if you want to introduce him. He's a great friend of mine as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ammar. And thank you so much, Congressman Swalwell, for your time, for your leadership, and for your words tonight. We're grateful for your unwavering commitment to protecting our democracy and for standing up with us in this fight in California's 48 districts. So with that being said, it's now my honor to introduce our next speaker, Congressman Kevin Mullin, who represents California's 15th Congressional District. Rep. Mullin is a fourth-generation Californian raised in San Mateo County before serving in Congress. He built a long record of local leadership on a local and state level. Throughout his career, Rep. Mullin has been a champion for transparency, good governance, and for the everyday needs of Californians. We are thrilled to have him here tonight, where he will share his perspective and his support for this campaign. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Kevin Mullin.
Thank you so much, Marcella. It is wonderful to be with you all. Ammar, great to see you, sir. And I want to start with a thank you. I know what it's like to put your name on a ballot. The willingness to step up and face the slings and arrows. I am grateful for your willingness to step up. And I know that we are going to be welcoming you to the floor of the House of Representatives. So I will be relatively brief. I have got a parent-teacher conference, if you can believe that, coming up on Zoom here. But I didn't want to miss this opportunity to say just a couple of words about Ammar and the necessity to turn California 48 blue. Ammar's going to be running against somebody who I just saw this morning in a news piece be referred to as one of Donald J. Trump's smitten kittens in Darrell Issa. He is somebody who is lock, stock, and barrel, goes along with the Trump agenda with almost no resistance at all, regardless of the issue. I'm somebody who is relatively new to the Congress, did 10 years in the California legislature, but I've always been working on voting rights issues, democracy issues, proud to be the co-chair of our House Democrats Task Force on Strengthening Democracy. And I know that Ammar is going to be a champion for democracy when he arrives on Capitol Hill. He is going to be somebody who steps in to this role, and he will be ready. Not only does he have this incredible history of serving his country, you can tell a lot about a person on how they're going to govern by how they campaign. And I know that nobody works harder than Ammar, and I am proud to stand with him, and he's going to be a tremendous addition to our caucus. But I just have to, I can't pass this opportunity by without just mentioning sort of the hypocrisy I'm seeing with some of our California Republicans. They are happy to support gerrymanders when it benefits, only when it benefits them. Very selective choosing when it comes to issues around democracy. Proposition 50 is here out of necessity because of what is happening with Trump and red state Republicans across this country. This is a break glass in case of emergency moment for our democracy in California. So Ammar is on the front line of that battle, as is Eric, as us, as are all of us in our House Democratic Caucus. So Proposition 50 obviously has to happen. But I do think it's an opportunity with all the organizing that's happening around Prop 50. We are setting the table and laying a foundation from an organizational standpoint that we'll be able to build upon when Ammar comes through that primary process and is in the fight to take back California 48. This is a necessity for our democracy to reestablish checks and balances in this country. But I know firsthand how expensive it is to run this race. Ammar needs your resources. So there's a lot of attention on Prop 50 as well. There should be. We can't talk about 48, as Eric said, without winning Prop 50 first in November. But it is going to be enormously expensive. Don't think for a second that Republicans at the national level aren't going to be pouring money into California 48. So Ammar is going to need all of the help that we can muster. You can find his Act Blue link. He will be reminding everybody of how to make those donations. I myself established something called the Golden State Democracy PAC, formed to focus on races like California 48, because the House majority, I believe, is going to run through California, and Ammar is going to be joining that House majority in 2027. So with that, I think I will wrap. I know you've got other distinguished speakers and incredible energy on this call. I just want to say thank you for stepping up. I know that you've got an incredible team behind you. Eric stands with you. I stand with you. And I cannot wait to witness you being sworn in when that time comes. So honored to be with all of you tonight. And thank you for what all of you do to preserve our democracy.
Thank you so much.
Sorry,
Go
Marcel.
ahead.
I got 2 seconds, then we have a great speaker next, the former chairman of the DNC, a good friend of mine, Jaime Harrison. But I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you so much, Congressman Mullin, for doing this. Even though you got to take care of your kiddos, thank you so much. In a way, this is also taking care of the next generation. So thank you for being here. Thank you so much. We've raised around $3,000. It's not, I don't know if it's showing on the link, but we've raised $3,000 since we started. And that's because of your help. So this is a campaign event, but it's also a retirement party for Darrell Issa, because we're going to retire, repeal, and replace him. And our next speaker will talk about how we'll do that. Thank you so much, Congressman.
Awesome.
Marcella, take it away.
Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you.
Thank you again, Congressman, for your lifelong commitment to public service and good governance. It's exactly the kind of leadership we need more of, and we are also so grateful to have your support in this fight. So that being said, it is now my honor to introduce our next guest, our fearless leader, Jaime Harrison. Jaime is a lawyer, a political strategist, and former chairman of the DNC. He served that term from 2021 to 2025. He previously served as a senior staffer to U.S. Representative James Clyburn and as the ED of the House Democratic Caucus, and later as the chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party from 2013 to 2017. Jaime, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Marcella. And let me tell you, folks, this is an honor and a pleasure to be here with my brother in good trouble, Ammar. I am so proud of Ammar for so many reasons. One, because of his commitment and his service to this great nation of ours. You know, Ammar and I kind of grew up similar. You know, we're sons of working class single mothers, and that brings with you a different type of determination and grit, and just know that you have to do so much weight is on your shoulders. And with all of that weight, he has continuously performed, and he has continuously been there for the people of California. You know, he ran for Congress in districts that we knew were hard, we knew were difficult, And he was there to make sure that he raised that flag and he gave the people a choice, an option. And that's why I am with him 110%, because this guy is a fighter. And he's a fighter for the least of these in our society. He's a fighter for all that is good. He gets into the good trouble. And he's done so much. And he will bring to Congress the leadership that is needed, the energy that we need right now. This is going to be a change election. He brings the intellect, but most importantly, he brings determination. Folks, I want you to know that he is going to fight for you because he sees everyone, he hears everyone, but most importantly, he is going to fight for everyone in Congress. But before we get him to Congress, y'all, it is about Prop 50. We got to make sure that this passes so that we can get the opportunity to flip the seat. And the congressman said it before me. The majority of the U.S. Congress, the majority of the U.S. Congress will be determined in what happens in the districts in California. And this district will probably be one of the top districts in the nation. So we need every one of you, put $5, $10, $20, whatever you can, make a contribution. And if you can, make it reoccurring. Make sure that, if you got $5, don't get the coffee from Starbucks for the day. Do whatever you can, because we got to flip this seat. We know what the tyranny of this MAGA majority is right now. In order to end that, we got to get Prop 50 passed, and we got to get Ammar to flip this district. So thank you all again for all that you're doing to support him. Know that I am going to do everything in my power. I was a former ED of the House Dem Caucus in 2006 when the Democrats were out in the forest, in the wilderness, and we flipped the House of Representatives. We made Nancy Pelosi the Speaker of the House. Harry Reid then took the majority in the Senate, and then that led to Barack Obama winning in 2008. I believe that 2026 will be an echo of 2006, only if we all do what we know that we can do to make that happen. And one of the first steps is to get Ammar into Congress. So thank you all again. Make sure you make that contribution. You hit that hard. Send it to your friends and your family members. Ask them to put $5 and $10 into it, because we need to get the resources. This is going to be one of the most expensive races in the country, but we can win it with your help.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for being here. I really appreciate it. I remember when you were running for Senate and you talked about that dirt road, talking to people about what they care about. So we are here to be the opposition party to Trump, but not just that, we're here to be the opportunity party too, with an affirmative message about how we're going to win back hearts and minds, save our democracy, and put us on a path towards a unified, fortified, progressive future where every single person, regardless of your hues or your views, can see themselves in this America. So thank you so much for leading the way, for being out there, for helping us with this seat. And to your point, this will be one of the more expensive races because Darrell Issa is worth $500 million. And he's going to have a lot of dark money on his side, but we're going to have the people power movement to take on the people like him in power. We have great luminaries, great leaders, but then there are people like Darrell Issa that give public service a bad name. So with all of your help, going to ammarforcongress.com, donate 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks. It'll get matched tonight, and we'll be able to flip this seat one vote at a time with your donation. So with that, Marcella, I'll kick it back to you. And Chairman, thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. I know you have a busy schedule. Thank you for squeezing us in.
Thank you, my friend. Good luck. Take care, everybody.
Thank you again, Chairman.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chairman. Your commitment to building this party and lifting up this grassroots movement across the country has inspired so many of us, including me. And we are so grateful that you were here today to share this moment with us. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our next guest, Maggie Reed. Though many of you may know her online as Mermaid Mama Maggie, which is how I know her. Maggie is an American comedian, political commentator, and social media influencer based in the Bay Area. She creates political comedy and satire for platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube and X, using humor to cut through the noise and engage audiences on serious political issues, which I know I've definitely used and watched to just make myself laugh when I'm having a bad day. Outside of her work, Maggie is a content creator and also a proud mother of two and has spent more than 15 years working in speech and language. She brings both wit and heart to the work of civic engagement, and we are thrilled to have her join us tonight. Please welcome Maggie Reed.
Hi, everybody. I am so happy to be here to support Ammar in his campaign. I don't need to tell everybody here that we are literally living in a nightmare right now, and we need to restore checks and balances back into our government. Right now, there are no checks, there are no balances. There's literally just Trump. It's whatever Trump wants. And I was telling Ammar the other day, I truly believe what California is doing, yes, on 50, is going to save democracy. And I want to remind everybody that what California is doing in flipping, or redistricting, it's only because we are trying to offset the insane gerrymandering of Texas. And the people of Texas, Greg Abbott, they did that without the people's consent. What California is doing is with the people's consent, and we are asking the people to make a choice if we want to save democracy. And I believe that people do. And a huge portion of that is flipping California 48 and getting Ammar elected. We don't need Darrell Issa in office anymore. He is literally just a Trump crony. And whatever you can donate, please, give to Ammar. He's a great guy. He's a former vet, or he is a Navy vet, and he's an educator. There's so many things, and he plays guitar. I found that out too. So we need more talented, fun people in office. What do you want? More boring people or fun people that play guitar? I think we want that. So if you can, donate what you can, or if you can donate your time. I recommend going to Ammar's website. You can donate your time, go out, help canvass the streets, do whatever you can. This is a grassroots movement. He's not taking dark money, so whatever you can do to help is going to help. And I know that if we can get California these 5 seats, including Ammar in there, we can save democracy. We can restore checks and balances in our government, and we can finally breathe easy. And maybe my comedy will actually be funny again, because right now everything feels so dark and gloomy. So please donate to Ammar if you can, and thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Maggie. We met maybe a little less than a week ago. We've become fast friends. You've given me some pointers on like how to make the campaign fun. We need to be happy warriors out here. It can't just be doom and gloom, right? So thank you so much for that advice. And, every single donation you make helps us talk to voters. There are literally 800,000 people in this district and one of me. And as much as I try to split myself into many different parts, the only way I could communicate my message is talking to voters by communicating on TV, on digital, on texting, on email, getting the field program, getting those people to walk, talk, and knock on doors. So that's going to help us fund this people powered movement. Go to ammarforcongress.com, Ammar, AMMARFOR, Congress.com. And we need to repeal and replace Darrell Issa. Like Marcella said at the top, he was the first congressman to ever endorse Donald J. Trump back in 2015, almost a decade. So if you want to go to the source of all of this, it's Darrell Issa. And he thinks he can intimidate us with all of his money. He's worth $500 million, but we got the people powered movement. So donate what you can, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks, whatever you can. It's going to be matched here tonight by a very generous donor. So please pitch in what you can. Money is what helps us get this thing done. When I get to Congress, one of my priorities is introducing an amendment to overturn Citizens United, because corporations aren't people. I'm sorry. They don't have pulses. They don't have kids to feed. They don't have bills to pay, although they might have bills to pay, but they pay 0 taxes and they live off of us. Talk about welfare. What about corporate welfare? That's a huge problem in our country. So we need to be able to invest in our people again. That's our best resource. And the most powerful role in this country in a democracy, it isn't president, it isn't congressman, which I'm aspiring to be, and That's not me saying anything about our wonderful congressman. It is, and they will agree, it is what Maggie is and what all of you are, which is the office of citizen. And let's never forget that. You know, our current president seems to forget that sometimes. That's putting it mildly. And, you know, I teach at Georgetown University. I'm teaching political science. I'm teaching government. I'm teaching the Constitution, the limits of the president's power, the enumerated powers of the president, the inherent powers of the president. And I'm not joking. Sometimes I'm in this class teaching a government class, and it feels like I'm teaching a history class, because everything that used to be true is being undone by this president. But
I think you need to go and teach Donald Trump about the Constitution. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sure the kids at Georgetown are extremely smart. I think they got it, but there's somebody in the White House that needs to know.
You know, 1600 Pennsylvania is not too far away from Georgetown.
You should go over there and do that.
He could even get the National Guard to give him a ride. They're all over the place. And I feel for those National Guardsmen, because they're like 20, 25 years old, Maggie, and I see on their face that they don't want to be there. You know, it's not like—
What do you mean? They don't want to be in the war-ravaged Portland right now?
Right. It's just bizarre.
Insane.
By the way, Missouri has the biggest crime rate, but I don't see anybody going out there and deploying.
Exactly.
It's really about power and attacking liberal states. It's purely partisan. And by the way, the biggest people who are saying, hey, we got this, we don't need to have the military here, is local law enforcement. So for the party that claims to be so much for local law enforcement, the Republican Party, why don't you let them do their jobs, right? And don't bring in the military. You know, Marines are trained to destroy and kill. Why are they being deployed to places like Los Angeles? It makes no sense. It's purely political. It's the beginning of an autocracy is what it is. And I know that sounds like hyperbole, but that's what it is. And here's where I have hope. We have great Congress members who are in Congress who are fighting every single day. You know, Trump wants us to be fatigued and get tired by flooding the zone. But we're not going to be tired. We're not going to be agonizing. We're going to be organizing. So my biggest hope is, you know, when you look around the world, Maggie, there are countries that have democratic backsliding just like us. When you look at the Middle East or Africa or South America, they have autocracies rising, strongmen rising, losing their democracies. But in those countries, data shows that 58% of those countries that form a broad-based pro-democracy movement that is outside the traditional institutions, meaning people protest civilly, they stand up, they rise up, they make their voices heard. Those countries that don't have as strong a democracy as we do have a better than even chance of not just getting back their old democracy, but coming out on the other end with an even stronger democracy they had in the first place.
Absolutely.
So out of this crisis, Maggie, can come a great opportunity if we continue to stay active, and if we don't despair, we continue to work on trying to repair our democracy. Let's face it, even before Trump, we had to work on our democracy to make it more inclusive. So let's continue that long march, this project of over 250 years of perfecting our union. And no one knows better about working together to perfect the union, to take on corruption, to build trust in our government again than Congressman Mike Levin. I think he's here with us. Sarah.
Hi, Ammar.
Hey, how's it going, Congressman?
It's going great. I am so honored to be part of the Ammar Campa-Najjar telethon. This is fantastic.
That's right. Well, you know, we're just telling people how they could get involved, Congressman. Go to ammarforcongress.com, donate what you can, $5, $10, $15 to take on one of the richest congressmen, Darrell Issa, who you know a thing or two about. When you first started running, you were running against him. And he's just one of those sticky guys who doesn't, you know how to take a hint that people are done with him. But I think this might be our year. And Congressman, you know, I've been chipping away at this district for the better part of a decade. And I think together with your help and everyone's help together, we could finally retire, repeal, and replace Darrell Issa. I keep telling folks, this is not just a campaign event. It's a retirement party for Darrell Issa. And so we're ready to send him on his way. And I know that you're very much invested in that fight.
Well, grateful to you, my friend, and thank you for having me. You know, what I will just say first and foremost is you're a tremendous candidate. You always have been. It's just been incredibly difficult, an incredibly difficult district in East County, San Diego that you've run in. And, you know, for me, it's a 1-2 punch. The first thing we have to do is pass Prop 50. It's absolutely critically important that we do that. And I will be honest, I don't love any of this. I wish we didn't need it. I wish Texas and Ohio and Florida and Kansas and Indiana, Missouri, all these states were not going down the path of radical gerrymandering. I actually voted twice in the House in 2019 and 2021 to make the California Independent Commission the standard nationwide, because I think we have to get away from this race to the bottom. However, I also live in the real world, and the real world right now is that Texas and all these other states are going to take away our fair representation in California, our ability to have our federal tax dollars that we send as Californians to the federal treasury actually come back and be invested back into the state of California is, I think, really depends. This really will make such a huge difference, because if we continue to have Republicans in charge of the House, the Senate, the White House, everything, we know that they see California as not just a place with differing views, but Trump said it out loud the other day. I mean, he sees his political opponents as enemies, as actual enemies. I am so proud to be a Californian, where we actually stand up for people's rights, where we want to make it so that if you're eligible to vote, we want to make that easier to do, not harder to do, where we care about one another and we invest in one another. And I know that you're going to take those values that you have built through your life growing up in San Diego County and through your service, and you're going to be a fantastic colleague. And I can't say how much more excited I am to be sitting next to you on the plane than the current situation, because what happened back in 2018 is we ran against Issa. He wound up leaving the race when the going got tough. He just left. And then Duncan Hunter, of course, Jr., who you also know very well, wound up having some trouble of his own. And then Issa ran in that district, of course, and won. So after all of that 2018-19 situation, we wound up sitting on the plane, with him quite often. And, I will tell you that it's long past due for the rematch. That's all I will say. So step one, win Prop 50. Step two, you're going to go to Congress, Ammar, and you're going to be a fantastic member of Congress. And we need to help Ammar, obviously. And so that's why I wanted to jump on here. I think everybody has read the link about 7 times, but I'll do it again. You just go to, there it is. Marcella, do you have the link somewhere? I bet she does.
It's actually, there's a QR code right below our screen that we can't see.
There's a QR code. Oh my God. This is like, by the way, fantastic job, Marcella. This is like amazing how you're doing this.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman. It's great to see you. I know you're not my congressman, but you're my neighboring congressman. So if anything goes wrong, I can always call you.
Anytime, anytime. Well, what I will tell you also is that I'm in Washington, D.C. right now, and House Democrats are ready to negotiate on a bipartisan government funding bill that actually protects healthcare for millions of Americans. Because what is going to happen is the Republicans, in their big, ugly bill this past summer, they did not extend the Affordable Care Act credits to be able to bring those premiums down for people. So the estimates are, if that isn't fixed, over 660,000 Californians are just going to not have health insurance at all. And what that's going to mean is that everybody's health care is going to go up. If younger, healthier people no longer have care, everybody's care goes up. So that we're not trying to be unreasonable in any way. We are just saying to the Republicans, it's already October 1st, right around the corner. People are getting notices in the mail right now that their premiums are about to skyrocket. We've got to fix this right now. And, for Mike Johnson or John Thune, these guys come in and they say, oh, we've got 7 weeks. That's plenty of time. I can tell you from experience, that's not plenty of time. We have to do it right now. We have to fight for health care right this minute. And Leader Jeffries told us that as they were meeting in the White House today, he and Mike Johnson went back and forth. Mike Johnson said that Democrats are trying to insert extraneous demands as part of all of this, to which Hakeem said, respectfully, Mike, healthcare is not an extraneous demand. This is a difference between somebody being able to afford to go to their doctor, to have a doctor at all. So look, this fight is real, okay? And we need everybody to stick together. I know there's a diversity of viewpoints and opinions. That's part of what makes the Democratic Party a great party, is we're not just a cult, you know, and our unity is not the same as unanimity. But we have to stay united in this moment. We have to fight. We have to hope that there's courage across the hallway in the Senate. So I wanted to, you know, just say that because it's important for people to know the stakes right now in this moment. And that's why it's so critically important that we get Ammar to Congress, we take back that majority, and we put an actual check on this out of control administration, the lawlessness, the recklessness. It's unlike anything that we've ever seen. And it really makes the first Trump administration look like child's play, what they're doing right now. So we need fighters in Washington, D.C. who are going to stand up and who are going to effectively represent their communities. And I know you're going to do it, Ammar. And I'm honored to stand with you in the fight.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you for fighting the fight right now as we speak to make sure that people aren't getting their health care ripped away from them, that farmers aren't seeing their crops wither on the vine. People are struggling right now. This is not a time for political gamesmanship, and no one does it better than you, trying to find common ground while also standing your ground. You are second to none in that field, sir.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for all of your support you're inexhaustible. I don't know how you do it.
Well, one thing I forgot to tell you. So we're here, House Democrats are here, Senate Democrats are here. The Republicans, you have the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. That's it. All the rest of them in the House, they're all out on vacation. They're traveling all around. I don't even know where they are. So the Senate, they're in. House Democrats are here. Where are House Republicans? Where it's disgraceful that they're not here right now with the government shutting down midnight tomorrow night. They ought to be ashamed. Anyway, that's all I got.
And the sad part is that they're not ashamed, but I think they will see the light when we clean up and flip this seat, take back the House, and to your point, put some constraints and restraints on this crazy administration that makes the first administration pale in comparison, the first term of Donald Trump. So this is not a joke. This is serious work. You know, I'm in Georgetown half the time. I'm in DC, and I see the National Guardsmen just kind of even wondering themselves why they're out there. This is a very, very difficult moment. This is a where were you moment in the life of our country, and our kids, your children, will look back and say, hey, where were you when people were fighting for their lives and their livelihoods and their health care, their constitutional rights? And you can say, and we can say that we stepped up, we stepped in. Those Republicans can't say that. And history will be written about this, and we'll know that who was on the right side of history. So thank you so much for stepping up, for being out there, fighting the good fight, and even carving out some time to make sure that we flip this seat, sir.
Thank you, buddy. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you all.
Thank you so much again, Congressman Levin.
So
And
you
can I say real quick, if they're not going to do any work, let that be a reminder to everyone out there. And you know, I did a video on this kind of earlier. The Republicans are refusing to work for the American people. So just remember that we have Democrats that are hardworking and ready to get in there to do work for the American people.
Right.
They're nowhere to be found right now. They want the government to shut down. So it's great.
Thank you, Congressman Levin. Thank you so much. I know you have important work to get back to. And Maggie, absolutely. You know, people like Congressman Levin are working hard while the Republicans are hardly working. It's, you know,
they're not even showing up right before a government shutdown. You wouldn't do that. So we should elect you. Bing, bang, bada, boom. Easy enough.
All right. I agree. Let's get out there. Let's mobilize. Let's organize. We're not done yet. We're going to answer your questions at the end of this. So stick around because we want to hear from all of you. And so please make sure to go to my website, ammarforcongress.com, AMMARFOR Congress.com. We need your help. We need you to step up and step in. So please join us. We've raised, I think, probably close to, I'm not sure what it is, Marcella, if you could see, I think it's probably somewhere around $4,000. Just keep in mind, every single dollar that we raise is going to be matched by a generous donor at the end of this. So your donation multiplies, and so does our chance at flipping the House and taking back this seat. Like Congressman Levin said, we don't want this redistricting. They brought the fight to us. We can't fight with our arm behind our back. We can't fight with a different set of different set of rules. We got to level the playing field. And the difference between us and Republicans, it's very important. When your friends are wondering if they should vote for Prop 50, here's the difference. This is the most transparent redistricting effort in the history of the United States. Never before in history has a map been presented on a ballot. And so not only is it transparent, but it's temporary. In 2030, when we have redistricting, we'll have our independent commission come back and do the work that they do so well. And hopefully we'll be able to win back the House, get a Democratic president in 2028 who will support national independent redistricting. But until then, we got to fight fire with fire. So, and no one knows how to fight harder than our next guest, Marcella, if you'd like to introduce her.
Do you need
Awesome.
me to get off now, guys?
No, stick around. You're great. I love
I'm
it.
not
Stick
sure if
around.
you're keeping me on for a reason or not.
No,
You can stick
stay.
around or you
Here.
can hop off.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Ammar. And I want to go ahead and just remind everyone, for anyone who's just joining the live, please donate below. There's a QR code. And please feel free to ask any questions that I will be asking Ammar at the end of this convening. So feel free to throw in your questions there. That being said, it is now my honor to introduce our next guest, Neera Tanden. Neera is a political consultant, lawyer, and think tank executive whose career has spawned the Clinton, Obama, and Biden administrations. She helped craft health reform during the Obama years, directed domestic policy for President Obama's 2008 campaign, and served as policy director for Hillary Clinton. She later became president and CEO of the Center for American Progress. And in the Biden administration, she served as a senior advisor, staff secretary, and ultimately the director of the Domestic Policy Council. So today she is here with us, and I am honored to welcome her. Please join me in welcoming Neera Tanden.
Thanks so much, and thank you so much for your leadership, Ammar, and really getting people to focus on Prop 50. So I really want to just bring the message from around the country to support what California is doing. The truth is, and I know people have probably engaged on this, the truth is that President Trump is ordering mid-decade redistricting, essentially because he knows the midterms are really going to hold him accountable, and he wants to avoid that accountability. Why does he want to avoid that accountability? Because he has created tariffs that are raising costs for people around California, but around the country. He's created huge costs for Americans. Everything, the price of everything is going up, but really the cost of living is increasing because of grocery price increases, because the cost of coffee is going up because of tariffs. So, he has an agenda that is really focused on him and his billionaire friends, and not focused and actually adding to the burden of working class people around this country. So he knows that with a fair election, with just a normal map, he will lose. And that is why he is directing states like Texas, Missouri, Tennessee, others to do this unheard of effort, which is to do mid-decade redistricting, which is honestly, if you want to think about it, is a form of cheating. And so California is really the hope of the country. Just want to remind everyone, it is really the hope of the country, because if California doesn't act, we really could see a situation in which Democrats who would normally retake the House are stopped from that. So if you are angry about National Guard in Los Angeles, or angry about National Guard in Portland, the first step to ending these policies is to have a House of Representatives that is truly representative of the people, not a rubber stamp for Donald Trump's agenda, but people willing to hold him and his agencies accountable. Think of it with Robert Garcia from Long Beach running oversight. He will be able to hold the military accountable for putting National Guard in our communities. Like, we will be able to stop these massive encroachments on our civil liberties and our civil rights. And so I have to say, everyone in California are in the front lines of this election. We have really crucial elections in November. the governor's race in New Jersey, the governor's race in Virginia, but really as important is this ballot initiative in the state of California, because we cannot let them get away with cheating. I know a lot of people are wondering where the leadership of the Democratic Party is. Is there assault after assault after assault on our liberties? And California is leading. Putting this, it's hard work to put a ballot initiative on the ballot. It's a lot. It takes a lot of energy and time, but Gavin Newsom, Ammar, people really are stepping up. And I just want to say a special thank you to Ammar for his leadership in recognizing that it's vital right now that we galvanize support for the ballot initiative. A lot of people run for office, but sometimes they don't remember it's teamwork that delivers. And he's really here demonstrating that leadership by having this event and so many others. I could not be more proud to support his campaign. And I support it because he definitely recognizes the moment we're in. This is not a time for normal politics. This is a time for us to try to save the country, stop the abuse, the real abuse to human dignity we are seeing around this country. And the first step to that, literally the first step, is having true and fair elections. And that starts with this ballot initiative in California this November. I'm happy to answer questions or help or do whatever is helpful here, Ammar.
I have a question for you.
Right.
You do so much work in the space that you're in right now. One issue that everyone's talking about, and Republicans are trying to get us on our heels, but we need to be on our toes on this and go on the offense by talking about fixing things in a humane way, aligning with our values. We don't have to run away from them in order to address difficult problems. So my question to you is the incredible work you're doing on a host of issues, from healthcare to immigration. What have you learned for our foot soldiers out there? What's the best way you could equip them with the right messaging on everything from immigration to healthcare and all the other domestic issues that we're having to fight on right now?
Well, I think it's very easy to get overwhelmed. Like, let's be honest. One of the strategies of the Trump administration is to shock and awe. It's to overwhelm us. I hear from so many people that, like, it's just the news is so negative. I don't even want to engage in it. I'm not reading the newspaper for like self-help here. And I have to say, that is a strategy. They want to overwhelm us so that we become immobilized. They want to use fear as a weapon. So we are scared and we are silent. So the most important thing for all of us to do is to figure out the thing that we can do in our community to like build up our democracy and stop the big assault on our country. So I think it's actually a privilege to be in California, because in California, you have the ability to push back, fight back, stop Trump's efforts to basically steal the 2026 election by redistricting around the country. You have an ability to stop it by passing this referendum, passing 50, because that, you are foiling his plot. His plot was blue states have already done these commissions, so he can just go into red states and redistrict, and then he just has a free hand. And California is saying no. We believe in nonpartisan redistricting, and when our democracy is safe, we will come back to it. But right now, we are putting a map on the ballot for people to vote on. And as you said, Ammar, that is democracy. People have a yes or no vote on it. And I have to say, just want to remind everyone, the 2026 elections are literally in your hands, because if they are able to get away with Texas and then a series of other states, it may really be that a Democratic House is out of our hands. And let me be clear, it's not, like I wear a blue jersey, Donald Trump wears a red jersey. There's so much more than that. But it's really not about the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. It is about the fact that in a democracy, the way we hold our elected leaders accountable is through the ballot box. When they overreach, we get to vote them out. The beauty of the House of Representatives is it's every 2 years. It's every 2 years for a reason, so that there is an accountability check on our elected leaders. And this is our accountability on check on Donald Trump. And like so many other things in his history, when he doesn't like the rules, he tries to break them. And it's Californians who can stand up in the breach and say, no more. So that is why, for those of us who care about healthcare, this referendum is hugely crucial. For those of us who care about not having National Guard in our cities, not like basically terrorizing communities, people have been here for decades, abuelas being rounded up. For those of us who care about each of these issues, the first step, the actual first step is Prop 50. So I just wanted to come here and say thank you. I am so grateful. I just want to express that there's a whole country of people behind you in passing this initiative. And there's going to be a lot of misinformation on the air about like this true step of democracy. Is the redistricting commissions. That would be true if every state did it. And as Ammar said, when we take power in 2028, we're going to pass a national law. That is the way to do it. That every state has a independent commission that sets the rules, so we never go through this again.
Absolutely. Well said. And thank you for all the work you're doing. You know, this is not a time for anyone to be on the sidelines. We have to be on the front lines. And there's so many ways to do that, not just through the traditional institutions of government, but doing it all around government, right? And that's what you're doing now. So thank you so much for your leadership. You're relentless. You're always, every cycle you're out there and you're doing the great work. And when you're not doing the political work, you're serving our country and government. So thank you for never giving up on this country. You know, that country that we love, that we feel like we've lost, I don't think we've lost it. And I think it's within our reach. It's as close within reach as the ballot will be on Prop 50 for everyone voting. It's as close within reach as you know, a volunteer sheet for people to volunteer. So go to our website, ammarforcongress.com, and it's as close within reach as your ability to donate to this campaign to fund this people-powered movement. We don't have to be idle. We can be agents of change. In fact, that's the only thing that's ever brought back countries from the brink of what we're experiencing.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, I know we have to go on to the next speaker, but I just really want to thank you, Ammar, for your leadership in doing this event, but also recognizing how crucial it is to organize around Prop 50. A lot of people can be focused on their own campaign. I'm so grateful for you to be focused on this because it is the first step for real accountability. So thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I appreciate that, Neera. We've been wanting to work together for a while. I'm glad that we made this happen. One of the many things that we'll be doing together in the years to come. And you know, you're part of my brain trust, so I'll be picking your brain on policy as well. So thank you so much for taking time. I know it was a busy day for you, so thank you. And it's not early out there.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Look, we're working hard. We're raising money. We've raised about $4,500 from the last time I looked at it. That's a lot of money coming at $5, $10, $15, $20 increments. So thank you all for being there. Thank you to all of you for putting your live streams out there. Go to ammarforcongress.com, AMMARFOR Congress.com. Every donation that you give could be matched. And we're going to raise this money to be able to communicate this message to 800,000 people, not just to the folks who are here, but hundreds of thousands of people who are in this district who are looking for new leadership. And that's what we're going to give to them. So without further ado, Marcella, do you want to introduce our next
real quick? I got to take off, you guys, right now. I have to take off right now.
Please.
But I just want to say, for everyone out there, I'm streaming this on my Instagram. If you guys are watching, donate to Ammar if you can. Like I said, I cannot stress to you how important it is for us to save democracy, and Ammar is going to be a big part of that. So do what you can, donate what you can, okay? Thank you, Ammar.
Thank you so much, Maggie. We appreciate you.
Bye.
And thank you so much to all of our speakers. And Neera, she's so amazing. Thank you all for your leadership, your lifelong commitment to protecting our democracy, to advancing policy, and to lifting up our communities. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our next guest, Jess Jacobs. Jess is a multifaceted creative and storyteller whose work spans acting, producing, and writing, and social justice-informed art. She combines performance and visual media to craft stories that bridge activism, artistic self-expression, and community. We are excited to have her here tonight, and I want to welcome her voice and perspective tonight. Please join me in welcoming Jess Jacobs.
Hi, everybody. Ammar, thank you so much for having me. Marcella, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Kind introduction. You guys should come along on all of my speaking engagements. Look, so I'm here for so many reasons, but I think first it's important for me to say that I don't work in politics. So I'm not going to be able to tell you what is on the floor of the House right now, what kind of important and essential policy work is being done. What I can tell you is what I believe about the story of our country. What I do have is common sense. We are in a really, really scary moment. It's just to be kind of frank and honest about what we're seeing unfold in our country right now. And so much of it we're seeing on our media platforms. So we're seeing it on social media, we're seeing it on news platforms, we're seeing it even in the way in which kind of Hollywood is making movies these days. Like we are seeing a pull back from stories that represent the diverse experiences of so many people in this country. And I think that's really right now the biggest opportunity that we have is to reclaim the narrative. How do we do that? Well, I can tell you. We do that by voting yes on Prop 50, by fighting fire with fire. We simply, we just can't sit back. I know that you've heard it so many times tonight, and if you're just joining, you'll hear it now. This doesn't violate the Voting Rights Act. This prop is a totally legal way to fight what the Trump administration is doing by frankly stealing an election. I know that that's language that they tried to use, that they co-opted. They've gotten really, really good at using and co-opting language. But what we really know is that when you redistrict to ensure that people's voices can't be heard, that the only way to bring back stability is by meeting that fire with this fire. So I'm profoundly passionate about Prop 50. I think that California is, I think, the fourth largest economy in the world. Maybe somebody in politics can confirm that for me, but we have so much power here in California. I was born and raised in San Diego. It's a huge reason why this is important to me. I lived in New York for a long time. I'm back in Southern California again. I know how much power we have here. I know how many young people we have here that can get out and vote. Ammar is a young candidate. We are going to be inheriting the policies that these many extremely old, very wise, wonderful people who have devoted their lives to politics, that have devoted their lives to public service. I have so much gratitude for them, genuinely, like genuine gratitude. And also, at some point, like go hang out with your grandkids and the young people can step in and take leadership positions to build a future, to tell a story that is, that emulates the best of us, I think. I'm so inspired by Ammar's platform. Getting dark money out of politics feels like an incredibly obvious one. Again, this is just basic common sense, passing Citizens United. Helping young people, an important thing. I'm a young person. This is like reproductive age folks. This is folks that are trying to buy their first house. This is folks that are trying to get an education. Climate change, again, this is stuff that we and our kids are going to have to inherit, are going to have to deal with. And if we don't deal with it now, we know that there is only more scary stuff to come. I think maybe like one of the last things that I'll say is that we are in a moment in which this administration is really kind of ignoring legal precedent. They are just kind of when there are statutes that are put in place or court decisions that are made, if they don't like them, they ignore them, which means that the law is a tool, but we have so many other tools at our disposal. Culture, again, and storytelling, media is a huge one of them. And so I'm really inspired as a storyteller, as an art maker, as a filmmaker, to stand behind Ammar and his campaign to tell a better story for this country. We deserve so much better than what we have.
This is why I want people other than politicians speaking tonight, because you can say things that they can't say, and you are correct. California is the fourth biggest economy in the world. Eat your
Got that
heart
one
out,
right.
Germany. Nothing against our German friends, but we're up there. We're bigger than 21 other states in this country, and we are the biggest donor state to other states. So when they say that California is a drag on the rest of the country, that's not true. Texas is the recipient state. They actually have over $100 billion in deficit that they collect from states like ours. So that's baloney. And what you said about young people and needing more young people in office, I fully agree. I mean, just kind of self-evidently agree. And you know, there are the young at heart. There are people out there like Bernie who are still not skipping a beat.
Yes.
But there are folks who do need to make way, and Darrell Issa is one of them. So I do agree that we do need new leadership, and we need people to kind of make this drumbeat, not just in politics, but throughout our culture. And that's something that you're doing very effectively. So thank you for coming here to speak up, speak out. If you guys want to support, please go to my website, www.ammarforcongress.com. Give in what you can. We have actually 2 links that people are giving through, Marcella, and they've given. Do you want to do the math for us real quick? And Jess, I want you to stick around just for 1 second, because I want to ask you, how are we? What are things people can do to be plugged in culturally, not just politically? So stick around for that question.
Got it.
Marcella, do the math for us real quick.
Yeah, so we are just shy of 10,000.
Wow.
Let's see here. 9,777 to be exact.
That sounds like a made up number, but you could take screenshots and show them your phone. Show them your phone real quick. It's probably true.
I don't know if you can see it with the blurry background.
Oh
here.
yeah, no, that's really funny.
Yeah.
No, but the two links, but this is all true. And we're raising like a lot of money, just small dollars at a time. And we need to have a full court press. I know people feel like, you know, the biggest question that I got asked in the past was, you know, with all the craziness, will our democracy defend us? And I think that's the wrong question. The question is, will we defend our democracy? Because our rights are self-evident, but they're not self-executing. And sometimes it takes more than just a whole of government approach. It takes a whole of country approach. And that's where getting involved civically, culturally, to show people that there's another way than this toxic stuff we're seeing from this administration. And artists and creators like Jess are providing that kind of off-ramp away from the craziness of these culture wars we're in. So, and in presenting a beautiful portrait of a mosaic of what this country is and can be. You know, we've never lived up to our values fully, but we've never run away from them completely. And it's people who are outside of politics who are actually doing that work of creating that tapestry for all of us to tell stories about who we are. Because one of the things we're missing in this country is we lack, I don't know if we've ever had it, but I think more than ever, we are losing a sense of common purpose and a national story about who we are. Yep. And so through the power of storytelling, I mean, that's what made Obama so prolific, is that he could tell a story. And, you know, being Black and white and growing up in Hawaii, going to Indonesia, I think why he was so successful is that he can see himself in every American, and every American was able to see themselves in him. And it was through the power of storytelling. And that's your space, Jess. So if you wanted to share a little bit about the work you're doing and how you think it fits into all this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there's a couple of like pretty easy, low-level ways to get involved. And it's by finding and supporting, whether with your eyeballs and your readership or your dollars, independent news and creative media organizations. So like Democracy Now!, the 19th. Go to your local independent art house movie theaters and see a movie by a filmmaker that you haven't heard of. I promise you will be blown away. There are such amazing artists making amazing content right now. And they don't have the kind of money behind them that Barbie has. They don't have, and by the way, love Greta, no
Right.
Greta, she's wonderful. Loved Barbie, a feminist epic. You know, so much money behind it. And in the same way that like, you know, politics can be a people-driven movement, so too can we, by voting with our dollars, tell industries what kind of art we want to see, what kind of stories we want to hear on our media. Global Press is another news organization that trains journalists around the world to tell stories from the places that they are, journalists from places that they live to tell stories of places that they are from. We need that more and more in this country. We are a global community now with the internet, with wireless communication. I mean, all this stuff, like we really are together. Everybody's eyes, I work with folks in Europe and Asia, people's eyes are on the US, but we also deserve and should be looking out. We can be learning from our brothers and sisters all across the world, what things are happening, culturally, politically, etc. And I think one other thing, because I find that like art making, filmmaking, sometimes it feels like, oh yeah, that's for the artists over there, whoever they are. If you don't identify as an artist, surely you have creative thinking. If you have an imagination. I think like one of the things that I've really been sitting with lately is like we're watching these systems that frankly were never built for so many of us crumble like right before our eyes. We are watching so many of these bureaucracies just crumble, and it's devastating, and people are going to be seriously hurt, and it's unacceptable. And we can look and see that there is rubble from which we can rise, that we can build something better in its place. I think about this with Hollywood too, with this like all these like studios are being bought and are merging, and there's so much less content that's being made. I mean, there's all of these things, and we should lick our wounds. It's a scary and a really hard time. And if we use our imagination, we come together, we have dialogues like the one that we're having right now, we can imagine a country that we all want to be in together, that we want to be a part of, where we take care of our neighbors, where we care for each other instead of hate each other, where we find places for dialogue and where we can find places to overlap, where we can imagine the country that we want to build. That's the opportunity that we have. That's the opportunity we have with Ammar specifically, obviously. And if he reaches his goal tonight, I will be popping a bottle of champagne and celebrating. I know you will. If you can donate anything, $5, $10, every dollar matters here. Again, it's the people power. This is not the power of the billionaires. This is about like real people, real issues, real stories. So please donate and vote for Ammar. And he's my dear friend. I adore him. So I also on a personal level, I'm like, this is a good dude. So let's win this thing.
Jess, I think Jess has a political career ahead of her. If she wasn't so valuable in the cultural space, my God, like mic drop, my God, what a great way to tee it up for another champion. Thank you so much, Jess. Another champion.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. The chairman emeritus of the Black Caucus, a hero in his own right, a civil rights hero, a good friend of mine, the man, somebody who has stepped up and stepped in and fought every single time. He's a frontliner himself. He knows how to take on tough fights, and he knows how to win and deliver and fight for working people every single day. My good friend from Nevada, Congressman Stephen Horsford, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Mark, it's great to be with you. Hey, look, I couldn't think of a better person to be on a call with 24 hours before the end of the quarter, and sadly 24 hours before a potential federal government shutdown. We're back here in DC. House Democrats are actually ready to work to avoid a shutdown, but it must include canceling these cuts on healthcare and lowering costs on behalf of the American people. I want to commend you, Ammar, because you are running in a district that's vital to us taking back this majority. I am a frontline member from Nevada, which means I'm already in a battleground seat. But look, you don't win the majority through subtraction, you win it through addition. And the best way to add to the seats that we need to take back this majority is to support Ammar tonight. This is a very important fundraising deadline tomorrow at midnight, but tonight everyone who is on can make a contribution to help him reach his goal. It's important because this will be a determining factor in making sure that he has the resources he needs to win. We know how important his district is, and quite frankly, California is, to pushing back against Donald Trump and these capitulating Republicans in Congress, both in the House and the Senate, who are more focused on bending a knee to Donald Trump than they are standing up for the American people. You all, I'm sure, have talked about everything that's at stake, our fundamental rights, our freedoms, and the opportunities that we hold dear. And those are things that Ammar has represented as someone serving in our military. This is something that he represents in what he brings to his candidacy. And I know absolutely it's what he will represent as the next member from California to serve in Congress. But I'm asking everyone who's on tonight to do your part, to make a contribution in whatever form you can to act blue, but to do it tonight and definitely before the deadline tomorrow, because when Ammar reaches his goal, he will send a clear message that he is not bought by the billionaires, but he is supported by the working people, all of you who are on his side. And I am among that team. I am making a contribution myself out of my leadership pack to help support you, Ammar. And again, I want to commend you for putting your name in the on the ballot, if you will, and to make sure that people have a strong representative with a vital voice that we desperately need on so many important issues. So know that I'm going to be out there helping in every way that I can, but wanted to get on for a few minutes to just ask everyone to donate $5, $10, $25. And for those who can max out, do the max, because he's worth it. And if we're going to beat the Republicans in 24 hours to avoid the shutdown, and again in November, we need people like Ammar on our side. So thank you for allowing me to hop on, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much, Congressman. I remember when we talked 3 weeks ago when we first kicked off this campaign, and I asked you, I was like, I told him, I would love your support, and you could see why. I mean, the guy can fire people up, and he's a true public servant. I told him, I know you're a frontliner, so I won't ask you to support me, but just have my back, moral support. He's like, nah, I got your back. I'm going to endorse you.
Got you.
The first people to have my back. That's a courageous man. And I have one question for you, sir. Our districts aren't too dissimilar in terms of being tough districts. We've redistricted this one potentially with Prop 50, but it's going to be the toughest of the five because we're trying to protect the Voting Rights Act. So it's a district that Kamala Harris won by only 3 points. So it's going to be tough. It's a working class district, a lot of union folks in my district. What are the top issues that you hear from folks in your district? And what transferable message do you think you can impart to all of us as we wage this fight against one of the wealthiest, most corrupt congressmen in Congress, in Darrell Issa?
Yeah, well, I served with Darrell Issa on the Oversight Committee when I first came to Congress. We need a new voice and a new representative, and Ammar is that person. You're right, our districts are not dissimilar. My district covers 50,000 square miles throughout the state of Nevada. It is a it's a purple district in that every cycle we've got to work hard to get out the vote, not just Democrats, but nonpartisans and independents and reasonable minded Republicans who want a fighter on their side. And that's what you bring. The number one issue in my district is affordability. The affordability of housing, of healthcare, of childcare, of groceries, of energy bills. Those are the things that families are struggling with every single day. And they need to know that the representative fighting for them understands that, has the lived experience, and is going to work hard to make that happen. Now, you also commented about the Voting Rights Act. This is the first time in decades that Republicans have not voted with us to reauthorize the Voting Rights Act, something that's been signed into law by previous Republican presidents. Now Republicans in Congress won't even work with us to reauthorize certain protections under federal law for free and fair elections. We know what they're trying to do in Texas with redistricting. That is why Prop 50 is so critically important, because we are fighting back. We're not going to let them just steal districts in Texas with no accountability. But ultimately, we as House Democrats in the majority will make sure the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act is among the top priorities that we vote on in the first 100 days. That's what Leader Jeffries and the House Democrats stand for. And with Ammar on our team, we know we can get it done. So again, donate tonight, help him reach his fundraising goal. And once he reaches this goal, come out and organize, volunteer, send the word, definitely get out and vote for Prop 50 so we lock these districts in, but then make sure we elect Ammar, my dear friend, and a phenomenal representative who will fight for the people of California. So you got my support, and we're there every step of the way. Let's go out and win it.
Thank you so much, sir. I know you got to get going, but thank you so much for being here, for being with me since day one, which was only 3.5 weeks ago. And we have built this people power movement. I'm just so grateful to you, sir. Thank you for the fight you're taking there with the shutdown to keep people able to work, people to live and thrive, have health care, for our farmers to not have their crops wither on the vine, for not having people have their health care ripped away, their Medicare, their Medicaid, their Social Security. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. I know that right now Democrats are out there, Republicans are at home. You're working hard, the Republicans are hardly working. And it's time that we rise up, take back this seat, take back the House, and have a government that works for working people again, not just self-wheeling and dealing. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being a good friend and a tough fighter out there in Congress for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman.
Let's go win. Thank you.
Let's go win. Exactly. You heard him. And to win, we need to flip this seat. We've been raising some good money. We have a goal that's lofty. We need your help. So go to, again, www.ammarforcongress.com, AMMARFOR Congress.com. You'll hear a little bit more from me. I'll be taking your questions, but Marcella has a couple of updates for us, and she's going to tee us off into the next thing.
Yes, and just to reiterate, you can donate online on our website, or there's a QR code below that you can scan and donate directly through there. I just want to take a quick second to thank all of our incredible speakers of tonight: Congressman Swalwell, Congressman Mullin, Chairman Harrison, Maggie Reed, Congressman Levin, Neera, Tanden, Jess Jacobs, and Congressman Horsford. Your words and your leadership remind us what the fight is all about, and that we are so grateful to have you as our fearless leaders of our country, and here supporting us tonight. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and reintroduce Ammar, the person that is the center of all this, the candidate who will flip California 40th and finally retire Darrell Issa, my dear friend Ammar Campa-Najjar. Ammar is a Navy officer, a professor, and most importantly, a son of the district. He knows our community because he is from our community. And with Prop 50 on the ballot, this is our moment to win and to finally have him represent us once and for all. Before I turn it over, I want to remind everyone again that we are building resources to make this victory possible, and we can only do this with your time and support. That comes from volunteering on the campaign, which you can visit our website to sign up, or by donating. So please feel free to use that QR code and go on our website. Every dollar matters. And remember, tonight your contributions are being matched. That means your support goes twice as far when it comes to defeating Darrell Issa and flipping this seat. So after Ammar's remarks, we will have a Q&A session. So feel free to throw in your questions. I do see some coming in already. And we'll take a few minutes to answer some of those questions. So please stick around until the end. And with that being said, it is my absolute honor to introduce our next Congressman to California's 48th District, Ammar Campa-Najjar.
Thank you so much, Marcella. Very well said. And I know Maggie Reed is back with us. So after I give my spiel, we'll do Q&A. Marcella will give us some questions. Maggie has her live stream on with all her followers, and they have questions there too. And Maggie, as a citizen, you're entitled to questions yourself as well. So bring them on. And look, I'm overwhelmed by the support. We put this together very quick. But this shows that, we're this telethon thing that Mike Levin's talked about, it's coming into the new era. And I think we'll do this more often because it's been pretty helpful and pretty instructive and impactful. Look, I wasn't planning on running for Congress. I'm happy in my career as a naval officer teaching at Georgetown. This was not my plan. I was comfortable in my life. And then I realized that this is not the time to be comfortable. This is the time to stand up and fight for what you believe in, to fight for access to more health care. Let's get all the prescription drugs negotiated through the government, not just the 8 that we got under the previous administration. Let's build on that momentum. Let's not take half measures on climate change. Let's treat it with the importance that it requires. You know, this is an existential threat, a national security threat to our very survival. As a military person, I know that there are bases around our country that are suffering from mudslides and hurricanes and fires. This is a national security threat. And if for those people who don't believe in science on the other side, just look at with your own eyes. Talk to farmers. Farmers knew about climate change before scientists do. Right beneath their feet, they knew that it was real. So we need to have a serious World War II mobilization to combat the biggest threat we have, which is climate change. And to make any of this happen, we have to overturn Citizens United. We need to get corporate money out of politics once and for all, so that people power like yours has a bigger voice in our politics. Because if we do that,